Hey everybody, welcome back to Home Gym Hacks and Reviews, the place where equipment isn't just reviewed, it's also hacked. Today I'll be doing part 4 in my series, Powertec versus Titan Fitness, and today I'll be comparing the Hyperextension benches. Let's get to it. When I first started this channel, I did a review for Titan's Hyperextension bench, and then recently I did a review for Powertec's Hyperextension bench, so check those videos out if you haven't seen them. But in this series of Powertec versus Titan Fitness, I compare two items, I pick which one I like better, and then the one that doesn't make the cut gets thrown into the bushes. But I'm not going to throw either of these in the bushes at the conclusion of this video because of the circumstances in which I received the Powertec Hyperextension bench. It was gifted to me, and I mentioned that in my review for this piece. Instead, I'm going to give you a very matter-of-fact compare and contrast between these two benches because they each have a major pro, so if you're deciding between each of these, hopefully this video will help you make your decision. To recap, in part 1 of Powertec versus Titan Fitness, Battle of the Prone Leg Curl Leg Extensions, Powertec won the battle because of greater adjustability in the bench and because the Titan has a piece of metal that digs into the inner thigh when you're doing leg extensions. However, the Titan is built like a tank. In part 2, Battle of the Dip Machines, again, the Powertec won largely because of QC issues with the Titan, but both exercises feel effective. In part 3, Battle of the Pec Flies, the Titan won because the resistance is more consistent throughout the entire range of motion of the exercise. However, I want to include one update. I received a fair amount of feedback from people with a history of shoulder issues who find the minimal amount of resistance in the starting position of the Powertec beneficial in alleviating shoulder pain when performing pec flies. If I compare the two benches the way they're set up right now, they're both 45-degree hyperextensions, and you can do oblique exercises on both of these. However, if I make some adjustments on this one, I can turn it into a GHD, and I can also turn it into a horizontal hyperextension. Next, I want to cover complaints that I've heard about each bench. The only real complaint that I've ever heard about this is that it doesn't fit shorter people all that well, so maybe someone who's 5'7" or shorter, it may not fit. This one, because of the adjustability, it's going to fit the tallest of the tall and the shortest of the short. The length for the Powertec is nearly 50 inches, the width is about 34.2 inches, and the height is 35.8 inches. This piece weighs almost 100 pounds, and it has a max weight capacity of 400 pounds. Those hip pads have 4 different adjustment points. The foot plate has 2 different adjustment points. The adjustable upright has 13 different positions, and the roller pad bracket has 19 different positions. The welds on this bench are really clean. Powertec doesn't list which gauge steel it is, but I would assume it's 11 or better. This foot plate is 19.5 inches by 13.5 inches, but what this bench has that the Titan doesn't are these roller pads. So if you're doing weighted exercises, these roller pads will help hold you into position a little bit better and increase the amount of weight that you can move. Overall, this is just more of an expensive bench to make because, for example, these handles have this material that wraps all the way around them, whereas with Titans, it's just a cap that fits over the end. Same thing for the foot. It's curved, and then the bottom of the foot is welded on, whereas with Titans, it's just a cap placed on the end. Moving on to the Titan, I've had this piece for 2 years, and it still looks as good as the day that I got it. The welds look pretty clean. This foot plate is 20 by 12 inches, so it's basically the same size as the Powertec foot plate. Those pads adjust from 34 inches to 43 inches, whereas on the Titan, the pads adjust. On the Powertec, the foot plate adjusts by sliding up and down that support tube. The dimensions for this are 46 inches in length, 32 inches in width. It's 2x2, 11 gauge steel. This piece weighs 53 pounds with a max weight capacity of 650 pounds. It might help you to see that the Titan has 10 different adjustment points, and you can also add an 11th setting by taking these pads all the way down to the bottom of the frame. Whereas the Powertec has those roller pads that'll lock you in place, the Titan has this ledge on the foot plate which will lock you in place, just not as securely as those roller pads. And Titan has another model hyperextension bench without this foot plate. Next, if I compare the pads for each bench, the pads on the Powertec are more comfortable and more durable than the pads on the Titan. These are kind of thin and they'll give a little bit. Also, the hardware pack for the Powertec is much more heavy duty than the hardware pack for the Titan. I want to give you another perspective of what these two benches look like side by side, and it's not like one takes up a lot more room than the other. As for the warranty, Powertec's frame has a limited lifetime warranty, whereas Titan's has a 1-year warranty. When you use the hip extension bench, you want your hips slightly above the pads. Starting with the Powertec, and on over to the Titan. Neither of these benches has a band feature, but adding bands to both is really easy. There's a couple of different ways to do it, but over on the Titan, I've just looped the band under both feet, and on the Powertec, I looped the band in on itself. Next, let's talk about the value of the hyperextension exercise. For that, I'll refer to Dr. Aaron of Squat University. He says that the hyperextension is an exercise you have to be careful with, especially if you're recovering from a lower back injury, because it does place a lot of demand on the spinal erectors with little co-contraction involvement from other core muscles. When performing the hyperextension, Dr. Aaron recommends limiting movement in the lower back and instead making the exercise more hip dominant. To do that, you'll contract in your glutes and hamstrings and drive your hips into the pads. When deciding between two pieces of home gym equipment, it's kind of rare to see two different brands standing side by side, so I hope this series is helpful in helping you to decide which machine or which bench is best for you. In the end, if you're deciding between these two benches, I think it's going to come down to affordability or versatility and adjustability. Both companies offer free shipping, and at the time of this recording, this bench sells for $159.99 and this bench sells for $499.99. So basically this bench is 3 times less expensive than this bench, but with this bench you can do at least 3 times more. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you found anything in this video helpful, please consider liking it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so. You can find me on Instagram under Home Gym Hacks and Reviews. Take care, everyone.